The third thing I think that Meghan stands for, she weaponizes division. She likes to be a divisive figure. If you do not agree with her, if you do not agree with what she says, if you do not agree with what she does, she has a really amazing and practiced and uncanny way of dividing people, of pitting people against one another. Either you are for Meghan Markle or you are against Meghan Markle. There is no gray area because her ego and her selfishness will not allow her to see past that black and white vision, not acknowledging that she said something so completely terrible and polarizing and dividing for a country, for a nation, for a culture. It just set so many things back, so many years with her doing that. And I also want you to stick around to the end of the video because I am just going to be telling you guys a little bit about some of the frustrations I've been experiencing with my channel lately. And I really am just seeking some feedback and some advice from you guys because it's just been weighing a little bit heavy on my mind these past couple of weeks. And I'll get to that towards the end of the video. Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome back to the channel. I am really happy to have you here. I am not in my normal filming area of the house. We are in the middle of an overseas move, and if you've ever moved an entire household across the state, across the country, let alone a different continent, you know it can be a complete and total psycho show. The office downstairs that I normally film in, there's just boxes everywhere. I didn't want to have that in the background, and I knew someone would probably write in the comments, are you okay? Do you need a search and rescue to come in and get you out of that mess? So I was like, I just need a quiet place of the house to just come upstairs, close the door. I'm in the guest room. Hopefully my lighting is okay. You know, we're just gonna roll with it because that is what we do around here. Because if I waited for everything to be 100% perfect, I would never ever start filming and get a video off the ground. So what I wanted to talk to you guys today was, of course, my latest thoughts about the drama and train wreck that is Meghan Markle. God pray for her. But the other thing that I wanted to first talk to you guys about was being out of sorts, feeling out of sorts. I'm sure that you probably haven't felt like yourself these days. And I can really feel like I can make that assertion with probably pinpoint accuracy because there are so many of us wandering around the world right now looking at everything that is going on in news, politics, culture, society at large, and just thinking, what the H is happening? Like, what is going on? There's so much that feels like a fire raging out of control, and it's hard not to feel out of control yourself. You really feel helpless a lot of the time, especially the more news that we read, the more stuff that we're tuned into, stories that we're following. I mean, there's like the Diddy trial, there's all this stuff happening over in the Middle East, there's just all this stuff, all these politicians fighting, all these lawmakers fighting, all this division, all this craziness. And then you got all of the celebrity culture, which is just hard to stomach a lot of the time. Like all these elitists that figure that they can just get away with whatever with no repercussions. Celebrities like the Blake Lively's and the Meghan Markles of the world that are just carrying on like a bunch of banshees with no accountability, just disgraceful behavior. And, you know, we just watch this usually with our mouths open. Gone are the days when we're eating our popcorn. Like now we're just like too startled and freaked out and just creeped out to even eat at the same time we're watching all of this. So I was thinking about all that. And then I was also thinking about a video that I did about a year ago where I was talking about burnout. And I actually went back and watched my own video, and I should really follow my own advice because I would really say within the last 3 or 4 months, I have been creeping ever so slowly back into the trap that is burnout. And I was re-watching my video thinking, Jennifer, you really need to take your own stinking advice because I was, I have to say, I was kind of proud of the advice that I gave myself and others if they choose to listen to me, advice about how to just protect yourself from burnout, how to insulate yourself from a world that tells you that you are not enough, that nothing you do is enough. There's always criticism, there's always problems, there's always something going on, and it's hard to keep up. And I think because the world spirals out of control so much, we really feel like all we can do is just control ourselves and our environments. And that in of itself is where perfectionism creeps in, where we start to overwork ourselves, where we get burdened, we get tired, we just kind of check out, we get irritable, all these horrible things associated with just burnout and just going, and just listening to the world and what the world wants for us rather than stopping, getting focused, getting true to what we know is true in our heart and souls. And that is that God is here, he's in control, and he is a good father. He is a loving father. He is our father. It's like how Father Mike Schmitz would always say in the Bible in the Year podcast, like, he's a good dad, and he wants the best for us. And he doesn't want us watching all this craziness in the world and feeling helpless and feeling miserable. But we inevitably do, because that's our sinful nature, to fall into anxiousness, to fall into worry, to sin ourselves. It's just the lie of the devil. And there's so many dark forces at play in the world today. Other than vote, other than be a good citizen of the world and a good Christian and a good parent, go out, raise your families, work your job, try not to run red lights, be a good person of the world. Other than that, there's nothing much more we can do beyond what we're doing in our day-to-day lives to be good people. And then we look out and see all this stuff happening in the world, and it's hard not to feel anxious and out of control. But that's just a signal that we need to stop. We need to refocus. We need to remember who's in charge and just pray to him, talk to him. I go into all that in my burnout video, but I even talk about in that video about how I can't guarantee that I'm never again going to lapse into burnout, or that I'm never again going to feel despondent or anxious or overworked or tired. And all these things I've found has been happening to me more and more over the last few months. And I really felt it, especially when I was on vacation, because when I had to force myself to stop and slow down, it was almost as if I was feeling withdrawals, like I was looking for the next thing to do. It was hard for me to just center. And then I realized that my number one mistake is not allowing God in my life and keeping him in the forefront, so to speak, and practicing that as much in the last few months. Yes, I've been going to mass every week, and yes, I've been praying at night and praying in the morning, but I've been neglecting to talk to him during the day and to involve him in my day-to-day decision making. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. If you are feeling anxious and if you're feeling upset with everything that's happening in the world, all the news about the Middle East, all these politicians and people fighting, everyone's just hating on everybody, and then all this celebrity culture thrown on top of it as like the little cherry on the dumpster fire. We just have to remember God is in control, and beyond being good people, good humans to ourselves, our friends, our family, and everyone in our immediate communities, there's nothing more we can do beyond that to just be an example of God's light and life in the world. But segueing into the Meghan drama, the latest podcast, the Aspire podcast with Emma Grede, Meghan made an appearance, and the biggest takeaway that I think most people and news outlets and creators are all talking about, the big question she was asked, Emma asked her if you could change anything about your narrative since you've been thrust onto this global stage, what would it be?
Because when you sign up to be an actress, you know that people are going to start recognizing you, but that's very different from what you have now.
It is, Emma. It's very different.
No shit. And listen, because I wonder if you could rewrite your public narrative from scratch. Is there anything that you would do differently?
Yes, I would ask people to tell the truth.
Yes, I would ask people to tell the truth. Tell the truth.
And Meghan's response was very, very telling. Her response was, I would want people to tell the truth. Now, notice she took herself out of the equation of that answer. Emma distinctly asked her, what would you do differently to change your narrative, how people perceive you? You have done different. And again, she took herself out of it and thrust the blame, which that's what she's doing. She's blaming. She thrusts the blame and the responsibility on others, saying that I would basically charge others to tell the truth. And I thought that was the huge takeaway. And I thought that's basically bringing us back to square one where this woman is concerned. There is no accountability. Nothing has changed. And here we are. And I think it's symptomatic of the world's problems in general, is there is no accountability, no personal accountability. You will find that most of the world's problems stem from bad behavior and then people committing said bad acts and bad things, then throwing the blame upon others. I mean, it started with Genesis, right? What was the first thing that Adam responded to God when he asked, where are you? What did you do? And why did you eat of this fruit of the tree of which I commanded you not to eat? And what was his response? Well, this woman that you put me in here, she ate it. It's her fault. And then it just snowballed from there. So where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is that she wants us to tell the truth, and that's what all of us should be doing. All of us should be telling the truth, but tell the truth coming from a place of charity, coming from a place where you genuinely want the best for that person, but you're still going to tell the truth. And I think that's why it is so important to continue to talk about people like Meghan. It is important. It's not just celebrity gossip. It really isn't, because here you have somebody who is on the world stage telling lies, in my opinion, telling lies and half-truths. I have to say, in my opinion, for disclaimer reasons, but in all actuality, there are definite hard receipts out there that contradict her lies, her mistruths, her mischaracterizations, all of it. People have receipts, and that's why we are continuing to call out this woman. But when I was thinking about burnout, and I was thinking about God's place in all of this, and I was having all these swirling thoughts in my head, and I was thinking, it's hard sometimes too to continue to watch somebody like Meghan as a Christian. And I've even made videos on this in the past where, I've even felt like, should I be talking about her? Is it Christian to talk about this? Is it Christian to continue to criticize her? And you can go back and watch those videos. And what I came to discover for myself is that, again, if you do it in a spirit of good faith and charity and wanting to correct what you see as bad behavior, that's important. And it's also important because, again, this is a person on the world stage who has the ability to influence people. And as we all know, there are so many things out there that are negatively influencing our culture. So when more and more people stand up, rise up, and call out bad behavior and call out lies, then we are all better off. So there's all of that. But actually, there's more. I think that the reason why so many of us are fascinated watching Harry and Meghan move through the world and do what they do. We're so fascinated with it because it's not like it's a political issue, even though it kind of is, especially when they made the type of racial accusations that they made, and they made it political, but it's watching a family in turmoil. It's watching a family disintegrate, and it's my cat, sorry. And it's watching good versus evil, light versus dark. They're supposed to be a Christian family. And while I feel that William and Catherine embody Christian values, I don't see Meghan and Harry operating from the same plane. And it really is disturbing to watch. It's disturbing to watch her break up two families. It's disturbing to watch her lie. It's disturbing on so many levels. So watching her navigate through the world, do everything that she's done, and have zero accountability, and now in this latest iteration, sit back and demand that others in her life tell the truth, it really I've said it before, but it really messes with our senses of justice and fair play. And because it's a family in turmoil, it feels personal because we all have families. We all have moms and dads and sisters and brothers and everything. And well, I'm an only child, but I have twins and I have tons of cousins. My mom came from a big family. My dad came from a big family. So luckily for me, I had a lot of first cousins to grow up with. But anyway, we all have families and we can fight and we can disagree, but the majority of us recognize the value and the pure love that is families. Hopefully, if our families are functional. And if you come from a dysfunctional family that you do not speak to for reasons of self-preservation or whatever, of course, I understand that those situations exist. But we all know that where Harry and Meghan are concerned, that I don't really feel that it exists. I really feel like everything that they have accused their families of is completely hyper sensationalized, again, in my opinion. But you're watching this family drama play out, and it's not world politics type of drama, but it's family drama. And it reminds us of our own families and our own lives and struggles and things that we've been through. And we watch this family and we want good to prevail. We want the light to creep into the darkness. We want these two, well, at least I do. We want these two to atone and repent and stop in their tracks and really, really think about what they're doing, how they're affecting not only their families and society at large that is watching them and upset at this, but how they're affecting and ruining their chances, their own chances for a good life. You cannot continuously complain and dump your garbage and your lies on people over and over and expect yourself to feel settled and good about the choices that you've made in your life. So I think that's why we are all so fascinated. And that's why I think that even if sometimes I stop and I think, oh, is it really fair to criticize? Is it really fair? As long as it's done in good faith, as long as I'm not criticizing Meghan over things that she cannot change, like say her skin color or her gender, but I'm calling her out on her behavior, I think it is entirely right and somewhat of a moral obligation to do so. And I was watching her podcast, and what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to release at least 2 videos where I break down the minutia of the interview, because I do think that the minutia of that interview is really, really fascinating, because I personally believe that she is a malignant narcissist. So many of us that have voices and speak about her do. I really think that she displays a lot of narcissistic tendencies. The main ones are inflated sense of self-importance and ego, the inability to sympathize and empathize with others, the inability often to tell the truth when it could negatively affect them. It just goes on and on. I'll go into talking about the actual inner workings of the interview itself. I just want to say that I was watching her and I was praying about it before I watched the actual podcast. Like, I actually told God, please help me when I watch this video to basically look at it through your eyes. And first and foremost, to realize that this is a child of God. Meghan is a child of God, even whether she knows she is or believes she is or not, she is. She does have worth. She does have value. Please come into her heart some way, in some way, shape, or form, little by little. Remind her that she is valuable, that she has worth, that narcissistic facade management is not something that she has to do every single day of her life. And there are a lot of people that say that there is no cure for narcissism, no cure that, say, a psychologist, psychiatrist, or talk therapy can do. I don't even know if medication can cure these people. And I do believe that it cannot be cured, but I also do believe in the power of our Lord. And I do believe that the power of the Holy Spirit can change anybody's heart. If he can die and rise in 3 days to save us all from sin, then he can do whatever he wants. But I asked him for that prayer, and I said, while I watch this, in my analysis of what I feel that she's doing, help me to understand what she does so that I can look on that and want to do better in my own life, and maybe talk to my people here on this channel and just remind myself and you guys that we all have narcissistic tendencies. We all have the ability to lie, whether it's a bold-faced lie or a little white lie. We all have tendencies of ego, selfishness. We don't want to listen to people. We don't want to do what others say, even if it's something that could benefit us or like help us. We all can be just rotten a lot of the times. And what can we do? What can we learn? Let's watch this woman and try to be better. I talk about it a lot, but it's true. And I'll drive this point home as much as I have to. We can watch her and say, how do we do what Meghan does in our own lives, even in small ways? And how can we stop that? And how can we course correct? And how can we be better? When I was watching it, what I was really seeing, someone like Meghan Markle, what drives her? Okay. And I'm so sorry, I was a little distracted, but that is Gracie right there. That is my kitty Gracie. I just realized that I didn't tell you her name. Okay, so I do believe that Meghan Markle as an individual, because I've been watching this woman fairly closely for the last going on 8 years now, and I see that she has 4 main drivers in her personality. Things that propel her in her life to continue on the path that she's on. And the first of those things is selfishness. And what is it to be selfish? To be selfish means that you want everything to go your way all the time, and you want what you want when you want it, to the exclusion of all others, to the exclusion of the situation. No matter if it's the right thing that should be happening, it doesn't matter. You want what you want. So that is selfishness. And obviously, this woman behaves and moves through the world in a very selfish manner. The second big thing I feel that Meghan is driven by is her ego. Her ego allows her to believe that she is indeed entitled to this selfish behavior. And she does not see it as selfish. She sees it as correct behavior. And she sees that if she's allowed to do whatever she wants and get whatever she wants, it's the correct behavior and it's the right agenda. Her ego tells her that her agenda is the correct one and that it is indeed okay to be selfish, because ultimately she knows what's best. The third thing I think that Meghan stands for, and what drives and moves her through the world, is her ability to be divisive. She weaponizes division. She likes to be a divisive figure. If you do not agree with her, if you do not agree with what she says, if you do not agree with what she does, she has a really amazing and practiced and uncanny way of dividing people, of pitting people against one another. Either you are for Meghan Markle or you are against Meghan Markle. There is no gray area, because her ego and her selfishness will not allow her to see past that black and white vision. Now, it's not something like, say, there is good and there is evil and there is sin and there is not. It's not God's version of black and white, because God's laws are God's laws. And Christ himself told us, either you are for me or you are against me. No, what I'm talking about is her inability to, and she's always talking about getting a seat at the table and coming up and talking with people and love and compassion and all this stuff that she spouts. But she doesn't like to show love and compassion and portray a unifying spirit to anyone who disagrees with her. If you disagree with her, you are completely painted black, as in you do not exist. You have been X'd out. You are either thrown out of her life, like what she's done to so many of her family and friends. You are ignored, like what she does to her family and friends and to her husband's family. And your seat is not at her table if you disagree with her. And the last thing that I think drives Meghan, and it's the one that's most sad, it's pride. And pride really can be found, I believe, at the root of so many of our sins. It's pride that stops us from apologizing to someone when we know we've done something wrong to hurt them. It's pride that makes us feel that we're always right in all situations. So her pride is stopping her from realizing that she's selfish. It's stopping her from realizing that she has operated and lived her life in a very egocentric way. It's pride that is stopping her from saying, maybe it wasn't such a good idea to call the royal family racist, because that was something that really divided people, and especially when it really wasn't the truth of her experience in that institution, especially given how welcoming they were to her. And we all know that it was a lie, because Harry wouldn't have come out almost 2 years later in that Tom Bradby interview and say, well, Meghan never said that the family was racist. It was the British press that said that. Again, no accountability. It's that pride that's stopping you from saying, you know what? I said something and I shouldn't have. It was wrong. Even if they would have said it was in the heat of the moment, it was what I might have felt, or maybe it's something that I said because I wanted to just put that out there to make someone feel as hurt as I felt, or whatever excuse she could give, it's 10 times better than just not acknowledging that she said something so completely terrible and polarizing and dividing for a country, for a nation, for a culture. It just set so many things back, so many years with her doing that. It was so completely irresponsible. And it's her pride that's stopping her from saying that was the wrong thing to say and it wasn't true. And I apologize for the hurt that it caused. So selfishness, ego, pride, being divisive, these are not values taught to us by our Lord. They're the exact opposite. What is the opposite of selfishness? It is compassion, it is caring, it is wanting to do things for other people without expecting anything in return. It involves telling the truth in all instances. And when you don't tell the truth, it's at least backing up and giving others their sense of fair play and justice by saying, you know what, I was wrong. I did tell a lie, or I did this wrong, or whatever it is, just atoning. So the opposite of selfishness is being able to look at another person and see their value, their worth, and wanting to tell the truth to them, wanting to do nice things for them, and not expect anything in return. What is the opposite of ego? The opposite of ego is just charity. It's about loving your fellow brothers and sisters that we're walking with on this earth. What is the opposite of being a divisive figure? It's being a peacemaker. It's about actually not just talking about compassion and action and love and unity and here, pull up a seat at my table and, we can all get, no, it's actually inviting someone in, listening to what they have to say, knowing that you might not agree with anything they have to say, but maybe just trying to find some semblance of common ground. Because if you don't find common ground, all society is going to do is it's going to deteriorate into what we've been seeing that is so prominent in the last 8 years or so: division, tribalism, people just going into their little groups and trying to portray themselves as marginalized victims. Everyone is a victim. Everyone is pointing a finger at another. And all that is just evil, and it's divisive, and we're all playing into the devil's hand. What is the opposite of pride? What did our Lord teach us about pride? Pride is really one of those ones where it's at the root of so many sins. And the opposite of pride is being humble. It's about acknowledging that you don't know everything, that you aren't the greatest. We are not the greatest things to ever walk the earth. None of us are. It's all about being humble. It's all about stopping and recognizing that you don't know everything, that you don't profess to know everything. You can talk to people and you can learn from others. And it's okay to feel recognized for your achievements, and it's okay to want to feel like what you've done has made a difference and has made an impact. But at the end of the day, is that the most important thing? Is the most important thing lifting ourselves up, or is the most important thing lifting up others and in turn lifting those others up to God? Because that's what it really is all about. And when you are so involved in the self, when you are so self-absorbed and you watch someone like Meghan, and I think it was very telling when, and I will go into this in my video that I do on the podcast, but when Emma asked her, do you fear failure in your business? And Meghan claps back with these secular and cultural platitudes that so many of us have heard for decades, where you just talk about, well, no, I believe in myself and I have faith in myself. And when she said that her faith was stronger than her fear, she wasn't talking about God. Meghan was talking about complete and total supreme belief in herself. in herself. Like, she was her own anchor, and she has to be strong, and she has to be driven, and she has to believe in every single thing that she's doing. And that is what is saving her, helping her navigate the boat in these like crazy storms that she's been enduring. And I just thought to myself, that is so not the way to live. We were made for communion with others. Most importantly, first and foremost, with God. We were made to be in communion with Him, and then after that, made to be in communion with others, because our lives, we're not an island. The only way to really live and share in God's family of love is to love one another. We are supposed to love one another, and in that love for our fellow brothers and sisters, it's what's supposed to reflect God's infinite love for us. And it's just such a sad, hollow way of being, and a way of speaking, and a way of living. And I'm watching Meghan in this interview in particular, and to me, her eyes, her face, her body language, she just looks and feels so unbelievably sad and empty, and she feels hollow to me, and she feels like she's constantly trying to do damage control and clap back to what people are saying about her. And that is her objective. Her objective is to uphold this image. It's like she has this beautiful portrait of herself, and she's trying to constantly shove it into our faces, as if to say, do you see this portrait? This is a perfect image of me, and this is what I want you to believe that I am. But the problem is that she doesn't even believe in herself as being this perfect image. She doesn't believe it at her core. And that's why she's so unhappy. And that's why she's so desperately needing that validation from us, the public. She wants us to buy into her own self-defeating narratives. And that's just what's so sad to me, watching this and watching everything that's playing out in the world, all the destruction, all the chaos, and then the royal family and celebrity and culture and things like that, to look and see what she's doing. And I'm thinking, she's just acting in her one person tragedy. She just reminds me of everything that's wrong with the world now. So I know it was a little bit of a kind of all over there thing, but this is just what's been on my mind and been on my heart lately. She does get a little exhausting to watch. I will say that. I do need breaks from this woman, because it is sad to watch her. It's like you're watching her play a part, play a role. But you know, when you watch an actor, and some actors are really, really good and you believe them, and then other actors, when you watch them, you can tell that they don't believe in themselves in the role, and you sniff those ones out really quick. And that is bad acting. That's when we see that this person isn't that great of an actor. They don't have a lot of depth to them. And that's what I see when I watch her. She's playing a role, but she's playing a really, really bad role. And she's constantly trying to audition for us, love her, accept her, buy into her own narratives. And we just don't want to do it, because she's not truthful, first and foremost, with any of us, but she's not truthful with herself. And until she starts getting truthful with herself, we're not going to buy it. We are not going to buy this. Meghan can just be a lot. She can be a lot to cover. There's just so many narratives, so many PR spins, so many interviews, so many crazy Instagram posts and different things that she's constantly throwing out that are just such a mishmash mess of narcissism and just ego and pride and all of that. And when you're watching it, when you're making notes for commentary for videos and stuff, it can get to be a little much sometimes. Now, I've been following the Meghan Harry saga, and even before Meghan came on the scene, I've been following the royal family practically my entire life. I've told you guys in videos before that my mom, who is going to be 86 this August, was born in Canada. She grew up singing God Save the King. So she's always loved the royal family. She has instilled a love of the royal family in me. So I've always followed and watched the royal family. I was actually living in London during the time that Catherine gave birth to George. I gave birth to my twins in April of 2013, and she gave birth to George 3 months later. So I was there to experience all that fun. I mean, it's just, I just love the royal family. I do enjoy covering them, and I will continue to cover them because I know that, that's where I gain so many of you guys. You guys like to listen to my take, and I feel privileged that you even care what I have to say. So of course, I will still continue to make Harry and Meghan videos. But what I wanted to ask you guys about was, how do you feel about other content on this channel? Because I don't know if you know, but I started this channel way back in 2016 talking about beauty, makeup, skincare. I am a licensed esthetician. I love beauty. And I exclusively talked about that right up until January 2025, when the California wildfire stuff started with all that controversy about Meghan and Harry being ambulance chasers. What were they called? Disaster tourists, right? Okay. And being a Southern California native, born and bred, I lived there for 29 years until 2003 when I finally moved out of Southern California, but I've lived in San Francisco and I grew up in the Los Angeles area. So for me to watch those two clowns be disaster tourists and, in my opinion, use the national news story that was the LA fires to get positive press for themselves, to me, I felt that that was a particularly low blow. And that's why I started even making videos about them. There was one that I did right before, around Christmas time, about their weird fake Christmas card, but I really started to get into it around the time of the California fires. But I still like to talk about beauty and skincare and makeup and all that good stuff. And I've been sprinkling some makeup tutorials and different things, and I've got some things planned. And I also just love books, in particular biographies. I love reading about famous people, and I love old Hollywood. So I had a Joan Crawford autobiography from her book, My Way of Life. And I did a whole series where I read the Joan book. I had a blast, but I don't know if you guys did, because the views for my Joan videos in comparison to my Meghan videos were just like night and day, like crazy disparity there. And I have noticed that also when I put out a makeup video or a skincare video, the views in comparison with my Harry and Meghan videos, again, crazy night and day. I mean, I know my viewers, you guys are well-rounded people in your own lives, and I'm sure that you don't want to hear about Meghan and Harry all the time, all the live long day. And I have other interests too, and I get wonderful comments every so often about, oh, Jennifer, I could never have guessed that you were 51. What are your skincare tips and all that? And I'm constantly referring people back to older videos like, hey, I've got these videos on skincare, dry skin, this and that. Point being, like, I have other interests aside from Harry and Meghan, and I want to continue to bring those types of videos to you, but I don't know if it is a waste of my time to do so. I'm not exactly sure what I should do. Part of me is like, if I enjoy doing those videos and I want to do it, I should do it, because I don't want to get burned out and feel one-dimensional talking about Harry and Meghan all the time. But then also the practical part of me is like, it takes a really long time to outline a video, film a video, set up for your video, edit a video. That's the one that really takes a long time. I would say for any video that is under 30 minutes, you're still looking at about anywhere from 5 to 6 hours of editing time. That's what I spend for me personally. If a video is over 45 minutes or close to an hour, oftentimes I can take an entire day, like an 8-hour day, editing a video. Now, that might be on me. I might be just naturally slow, and I do have a life and I have other things going on and a lot of elements and moving parts that I'm trying to juggle and things like that. But that's just the reality. I'm a one-person show. I don't have an editor. I don't have any of that stuff. So a lot of this takes time. So I guess my plea or my question to you guys, and please let me know down in the comments, are you even down for things that aren't celebrity culture, that aren't royal family? Because I don't know. I did start a brand new biography series about Earl Flynn, and the book is called Earl Flynn Slept Here, and it is a really cool book. And I have 2 videos that I am editing right now that are going to start that series back up. I do have an intro video that I filmed. I'm having a good time filming those videos. I just don't know how good of a time you guys are having watching them. I kind of do think, though, that if more people gave some of my other videos a chance, that maybe they would enjoy them too and look forward to something that's not Harry, that's not Meghan. But I don't know. I know I'm just kind of like vomiting all over you guys with my train of consciousness thought here, but I just had to ask because, again, part of me really, really enjoys talking about things other than those two clowns, and it just gives me a little bit of joy. You know how Meghan's talking about her joy? Well, talking about things other than her gives me joy too. And yes, of course, I'll still continue to talk about the royal family and all that, but just let me know what you guys think. I am still going to finish out my current series, my Errol Flynn Slept Here series. I think the guy was a complete and total maniac. If anyone needed God, it was that poor man. The man was a drinker, he was a smoker, he was a womanizer, he was a thief, he was a flawed man. I pray Earl Flynn, that man is in purgatory. He sinned a lot in his life. He was an atheist. He professed no God. I feel really sad for him. So in a lot of ways, he just fascinates me because he's like a walking, talking Shakespearean drama. You know how it's going to end and you know that he is going to just crash and burn, but you can't look away. That's what really fascinated me to want to talk about that man. But I do pray for him. I pray for people like him. I am going on and on and on. So yeah, I will continue that series. I will finish that series, but I don't know, maybe it's just me. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm going to put out content that I believe in. I'm going to talk about things that I feel are worth talking about. If there's something that I feel like I can't comment on anymore or that I don't have anything productive to bring to the conversation, then I'll stop talking about it. But I do feel like Harry and Meghan are worth talking about because they're worth learning from. As far as the other types of videos, let me know what you think. Maybe I'm just feeling like this because so many different things in my life are changing right now. Moving overseas for a while. We're going to be in Germany. Homeschooling is illegal in Germany, so I'm going to have to be letting my little ones out into the wild for their schooling. That's something that I've been having to come to terms with. So I'm just kind of all over the place. So I would ask, if you are a praying person, please pray for me. I will pray for you. I thank you so much. I thank so many of my new subscribers, all the people that have joined my channel. I would not have a channel without you. I think the world of you. You guys mean so much to me. Thank you for listening to me going on and on today. And yeah, that's all I have for you right now. And I have to get my butt to 5 o'clock mass, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Bye.